All right, so last week I got pretty heated and I said Elon Musk is trying to kill you. I feel like that statement could be taken the wrong way and feel responsible to clarify. So, Elon Musk wants to kill you and enslave your babies.
That clears things up.
Yeah.
I'm outwitting him by not having any children. Checkmate, Elon.
Oh boy. So, population decline is a big concern for the ultra wealthy for a number of reasons. For these things, I like to use Elon Musk as an example because he's like richest person to ever live. He's fully mask off and he's terminally online, so there's never any doubt what his position on any given topic is. Musk said in a 2022 tweet that population collapse due to low birth rates is a much bigger risk to civilization than global warming. Excuse me, paleontology enthusiast here. How many mass extinctions have been caused by global temperature changes versus animals deciding they didn't want to fuck? My understanding is the thing that kills animals a lot is the global temperature changing really quickly.
Yeah, but see, none of those animals had awesome civilizations that made them not want to fuck. You know, the despair of modern life was not crushing them down.
You don't know what sort of ennui Troodon was experiencing in the late Cretaceous before the asteroid hit.
The declining fertility, it's clearly not the problem in itself, right? Like it's a symptom of problems if it's a bad thing at all. It's just kind of a bizarre thing to think of it as the problem.
Is like not having enough babies a greater threat than like the planet becoming inhospitable to life? I'd say no.
But seriously though, how is it a problem with population going down? And I know the answer that people give, but really it's just that we have like a bunch of Ponzi scheme like systems that are built into our economy and our society that assume we need to have growing population and a growing economy, or else everything collapses.
I would say hold that thought.
Okay.
And yes, and very much yes. Okay, but maybe we can get some clarification from Elon, because if you want, just the transcript of what's going on in the world's elite, you can just check X the Everything app and see what Elon Musk has to say on the topic. Here he's responding to a 2024 tweet from Ava Vlardingbroek. Here it is, the full speech I gave at #CPAC Hungary that the establishment is losing its absolute mind about. I spoke the forbidden truth. The Great Replacement is no longer a theory, it's reality. White Europeans are being replaced in their own countries at an ever... show more. Well, I really clipped it there. Anyways, you don't really need to hear the rest of that. She's talking about the Great Replacement theory.
I have an alternative to the Great Replacement theory. I call it the okay replacement theory. It's where people die and then new people are born and it's okay.
Wait, but what if the new people being born are different than the people that were there before?
Yeah, they will be. Yeah, and they'll like replace them.
Yeah.
Sounds
okay.
unacceptable, dude.
I don't know. Maybe you're on the same page with Elon Musk. Let's see. He says, the problem with the Great Replacement theory is that it fails to address the foundational issue of low birth rates. Record low birth rates are leading to population collapse in Europe and even faster population collapse in most of Asia. Immigration is low in Asia, so there's no replacement going on. The countries are simply shrinking away. If this doesn't turn around, then any countries on Earth with low birth rates will become empty of people and fall into ruin, like the remains we see of long-dead civilizations.
I mean, like, if the population of China halved for like 30 years, I started doing exponential math, then actually probably it would disappear.
No, it would Zeno's paradox its way out of existence.
But it's like, I don't know, if the population goes a little bit down for a while, that doesn't imply that it will continue to go down forever, that humans just are unwilling or unable to reproduce at replacement rates.
Yeah, but we don't all have 12 babies like Elon did, so we're letting civilization down.
Danny, you're a history buff. Do you remember when the Romans were in decline and the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths were at the door, and then the Romans decided that they didn't want to have any more babies, and that's why there aren't any Romans anymore?
I mean, to be fair, they did kind of worry about this shit back then too. Like Augustus had like strict morality laws because he felt that upper class Romans weren't having enough children.
Interesting.
Damn.
Something that he has in common with
Facts.
the elites of today. I wonder why that is. Maybe we'll
You know-
get into it later.
Speaking of the Romans, I have an alternative to the Great Replacement theory. I call it the grape replacement theory. Have you ever wondered why Capri Suns don't have any real fruit juice in them?
I can't say that I have.
Grape replacement theory.
Yeah, they've been
Yeah.
replacing the grapes.
But why? You have to come up with a compelling reason, dude. Because
Just think about it. I'm
these-
just asking the questions.
these new grapes, dude, they fill you with existential dread and cause you to not want to have children, dude. And that's why people aren't having kids.
It's because good Christian grapes are being eliminated by a deep state cabal of colored grapes from around the world.
DEI grapes.
Yeah, the initial grapes that we used to have, dude, those were like the ones that Jesus made like the water into wine, and is like those kind of grapes. But now they're switching them out for the godless grapes, dude.
I am picking on Elon, and I love to pick on Elon, but I'll
He does
give
suck.
if he's concerned about something, it's a solid bet that there's already a huge movement of weirdos who believe the same thing. In this case, that would be the pronatalist movement. The modern pronatalist movement is largely made up of two groups. One led by Silicon Valley tech elites, like your boy,
There's a crisis that they can't get laid.
and they're mad. The Stacys of the world don't pick the high IQ people to have the children with, you see. So we need to be engineering an elite human race, which sounds like something
Godwin's
that
law
our
yet
audience
again.
can maybe our audience can leave a comment as to what that sounds like. The other group is made up of traditional conservatives who oppose abortion, idealize the nuclear family, and love traditional gender roles. Importantly, that means believing that a woman's inherent value is to stay at home and to care for her many children, even if that's not the path that she would choose for herself. If you're on the pronatalism train, you kind of have to ignore some things like the skyrocketing price of childcare, our broken parental leave systems, women, and what they might want. See the 90s Mel Gibson movie, What Women Want.
Go hop in a bathtub with a hairdryer, and that might help give important insights. That's my advice to any pronatalists.
We're fair and balanced on this program. Let's hear what pronatalists have to say about themselves. This is from pronatalist.org. As nations develop, birth rates fall below replacement rate. This is exacerbated by gender equality, education, and technology. If we view social ecosystems like ecological ecosystems, prosperity, gender equality, access to education, and technology are akin to exogenous pollutants, sterilizing the majority of cultures that are exposed to
Oh
them.
my god.
Dude.
So fucking stupid.
Let him finish. Let him. And it's definitely a him writing this, but let him finish. So the exogenous pollutants. Let's see. As is not the case with typical pollutants, we want to maintain and expand PGET. So they like this. This is good. As we believe they contribute significantly to human flourishing. We must therefore foster a diverse array of cultures that can survive in the presence of these factors. See, and I was calling them Nazis, but they like diversity. Now, personally, I wouldn't have called gender equality or education exogenous pollutants, but I'm not funded by Estonian billionaire and Skype founder Jan Tillen.
I was a little surprised. So at the end, they did say, but we actually like these things. So, like, they're in favor of things like education.
Well, they're trying to convince people. They can't just straight up say, like, we don't want women's rights anymore, because it's like, it's outside of the Overton window.
This is pronatalist.org. This is their PR website funded by Estonian billionaire Jan Tallinn.
Right. But so, I mean, do you guys disagree with what they said? I mean, if there are 6 billion humans instead of 10 billion humans 100 years from now, like, does that mean that humans haven't flourished? I don't think so.
I don't think that gender equality, prosperity, access to education, and technology sterilize cultures that are exposed to them. I don't think that's true. So I reject that initial premise. They want...
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the premise. I'm talking about the conclusion, which is like that we should
foster diverse array of cultures.
Yeah, that are like robust to like the hit to fertility and that are other consequences of having the things that we like.
Let me ask you this. Do you think you're going to agree with any of the approaches that they would suggest to foster this diverse array of cultures?
I'm a little, I don't know, probably not. I don't know. The way you're
Yeah,
asking
probably
it makes
not.
me think I'm not going to. I'm like,
I'm just
okay.
picturing like a zoo for yuppies, dude, where like, nice Christian people go look at the yuppies.
If you're starting from the baseline that gender equality will extinguish your culture, do you want the follow-up?
I've heard this argument made by Jordan Peterson.
It is a de facto statement.
Exactly. Like
It is an
in
internally consistent argument.
Pretty good. Okay. The basic argument is that in Scandinavian countries where they have like better parental leave and they have better healthcare and better affordability and whatever, everything is so much better there. They have lower fertility rates. So if you're trying to say like, well, so why is it that fertility rates are low? If that's true, then maybe you would conclude that it's not because we don't have a just society, because in more just societies the problem is even worse. So maybe the cause is, like what they're saying, is just that women don't want their lives to be like baby machines, and the fact that they don't want their lives to be baby machines means that our population is going to be reducing, right? In which case they would kind of be right, that they'd be saying that like women's rights leads to a declining population because women don't want to just have babies all the time.
But it's not clear like that's going to persist forever, right? Like this is a relatively recent development in human history.
Yeah. And also like classic Jordan Peterson, seeing a problem and trying to find the solution that strips away rights from women. If women get to choose who they fuck, they won't fuck me and civilization will be destroyed.
Trying to ignore the messenger some for the point. Danny's point is fine. This could be a temporary thing. We don't need to generally think that women's liberation is a force that pushes down population. Like that might not be true in other situations, with a little bit of improved technology or whatever, that might change. But I don't know, at least like today, that doesn't seem like a crazy statement.
Let's take the poster child of low birth rate, South Korea. Current birth rate or 2024 birth rate of 0.75 births per woman, which is actually up from 2023 when it was 0.72. If you're wondering like why it is that they're having so few babies, you can go ahead and just ask South Korean women. I've got a quote from a BBC article here. In the country with the world's lowest birth rate, fertility clinics are booming. More than half of South Koreans say they want kids but can't afford them. So that's a big issue. Cost of living, and cost of living projected forward. I think it's expensive to live. It's going to be hard for me to live and also raise a child. And the world I'm giving birth to this child in is going to be hard for them to have the same quality of life as me. So they're making these logical calculations according to the UN report. And by the time South Korean women have their first child, the average age is 33.6. So the desire is still there. It's just that to feel comfortable to have children, it takes longer to get into a career that makes you feel like you could afford to have a child.
It's clearly true that, for many people, including me, like the number of kids that you have or that you think is reasonable is limited by economic reality and like you're saying, projecting it forward. And just like the difficulty of having kids, of raising kids, like getting by in a world that is not really friendly to kids. So yeah, I mean, that's real and significant. But I think also it's not, I don't think it's the whole story. I think it also is true that a lot of women want something else from their life these days in a way that, and they rightfully think that they can have it, and that is another important piece of this that economic justice doesn't address.
Mm-hmm. So the inspiration for this whole path I was going down this week was this article from India. So not too long ago, and maybe still to this day, people are worried about India specifically just having way too many people, and overpopulation was going to destroy them. Well, their birth rate recently dropped below replacement. They went to below 2 births per woman, and immediately, they were Oh my God. If we can't like keep up with this rate of growth, we'll be doomed. Doom. In India, is India starving for people? I wouldn't say so. The most populous country in the world at 1.46 billion people needs to expand. I don't know. But if I were the head of the RSS, then I would say that Indian families must have 3 children each.
What's the
Warning about
RSS?
the and that would be Rashtriya Swarit Sevak Sangh.
Which
It's
is
it's a Hindu nationalist organization.
so I think like related to like my previous rant about Ponzi schemes, and presumably what you're getting at here is that yeah, like a couple years ago it was going to be overpopulation, and now it's going to be underpopulation. People are just worrying about the wrong freaking thing. Like, who gives a shit whether in 100 years there are 6 billion or 12 billion humans if their lives suck or if their
Mhm.
lives are good? Like, we should be worried about quality of life. What the
Well,
fuck?
who
Who gives a
worries
shit
about
about
it?
fertility?
Economists worry about it. There's a widespread belief that demographic decline leads to decreased GDP, and it's
Right, because they're measuring
like
the
you
wrong thing.
said.
GDP is exactly not what we should give a shit about. It is a proxy.
You guys want to hear an economics joke?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, 2 economists are walking in the forest. They come across a pile of shit. One of the economists says to the other, "I'll pay you $100 to eat that pile of shit." So he does, and he pays him $100. Then, feeling sick, he throws it up, and he offers the other economist $100 to eat the regurgitated shit, which he does, and he pays him $100. And at the end, the economists look at each other and they say, "What have we accomplished? I can't help but feel we got nothing done." Which the other economist says, "We increased the GDP by $200.
Yep.
A great example of why GDP is a terrible measure of growth in an economy, but it is one that gets a lot of attention. And for that reason, we tend to over-focus on things like population growth. When you have more people working jobs, and you have more people buying things. So every person you add to the economy is just like I wouldn't say cheap and easy, but like one of the simplest ways to grow GDP is you just have more people doing the G in your DP.
If you want
Wink.
a G in our TP, leave a message. Leave a comment.
If you care about, say, not living on a planet that's completely drained of resources because of all the people on it and all the problems that could come, environmental problems that could come with like an ever increasing population of humans, it might behoove you to look to other ways to increase prosperity over time. And even in like strictly capitalist models, there are ways to do it. Found this article in Nature called "Declining Population and GDP Growth" by Theodore P. Lianos and Anastasia Siridis. No way I'm saying that right. And yeah, it basically says that business people and politicians seem to be afraid that population reduction will be accompanied by economic recession, but they found that the effect of declining population on growth and per capita income does not necessarily mean a loss of GDP. When they gathered a bunch of other papers that found the same result.
Even if it did, like growing your economy is not like the right thing to be concerned about either.
It feels a little bit like mercantilists back in the day, dude, where they're like, the most important thing is how much physical gold you have in your country. That's what you have to optimize for.
Right. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a very useful proxy for what we should actually care about, right? Economic growth, especially when you don't have tremendous inequality, is a really good proxy for standard of living. But, I think we're kind of past that. We've got huge inequality, and the population is going to be declining.
Well,
Like,
that inequality, though, that's key. That's key here, because that should be a thing that the billionaires care about, right? Like the GDP growth is the thing that they care about. Like, why do they focus on the birth rate increasing if we can still have this result? They want to like grow their fortunes as much as possible. That's why they are the people they are. So why focus on the population thing when there are other ways to grow the economy? Like, I agree it's a bad measure for the health and prosperity of people writ large, but it is a measure that they would care about, like this GDP growth.
I mean, sure. Sorry. But you're just trying to explain Elon's motivations.
Right.
So
the
yeah,
whole,
like
the
he might
whole
care.
the whole reason for this whole digression. Yes, I'm
Right.
trying to bring it back to my original
Got it.
point.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So Elon's a smart guy. Well, for the sake of
Wouldn't-
argument, let's say Elon's he has a very specific sort of evil, selfish way of being smart, good at running a company to his own profit. So why focus on population increase instead of other methods? Well, there is a concept coined way back in the day by a little guy called Friedrich Engels. It's called the Reserve Army of Labor. So basically, the capitalist class needs a broad pool of unemployed workers who suffer and struggle to find work. Because they will suffer without employment, if they do finally attain a job, they will accept worse treatment and lower rewards for employment, which increases profits for their employers. Read Elon Musk. Current workers see the suffering of the unemployed and are scared that they may be forced to join them if they lose their job, and therefore accept worse treatment, which in turn increases profits for their employers. Again, read Elon Musk. It's important for this reserve army of labor concept for three things to be true. So play along at home, and you tell me if these are things that Elon Musk cares about. Okay, so thing number one, the experience of being unemployed must be miserable. If the government steps in to provide basic services so people can live even if they aren't employed, then maybe they won't take as much bullshit from their employers. So those social services have got to go. So yeah, this is something Elon cares about. This is Doge. This is eliminating all of the social services of this country by increasing efficiency of the government, going through firing everyone, slashing the budgets of all these things so they don't even function anymore. And because they don't function anymore, they'll be further cut because, oh man, who cares about, Medicare anymore? It doesn't even work. There's no one answering the phone when I call them. Might as well cut their budget even more. Yeah. So that's thing number one. Thing number two, there must be an ever-replenishing supply of workers. Not having money means you lose shelter, food, and medicine. Notably, this kills people. So you need more people to replace them. Ergo, the pronatalism. That's the reason that Elon Musk and other billionaires care about increasing the population, is because they need more people to replace the people that they kill, keeping the reserve army of labor going.
I don't think that Elon's economic philosophy is this sophisticated.
The third thing is workers cannot organize and fight for things like increased pay and benefits. This defeats the purpose of having the misery machine. So very recently, Elon Musk dismantled the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, because he hates unions. So he might not have this all as a plan, but he doesn't need to have it as a plan because all these things are part of the interest group of the billionaires. They dismantle the power of labor. They need a big population of labor to pull from to replace the labor they kill by taking away the social services that cost them money. It's a virtuous cycle, you would say, in economics terms. I don't think it is an explicit strategy either, but it is a confluence of interests. It gets described in these sort of Marxist texts because these Marxist texts are not necessarily describing like a plan, like a conscious plan. They are describing the way the economics of the situation works.
I agree with you there. Okay, got it. Yeah, I thought you were sort of saying that it was this that. Yeah, I don't think he intentionally wants people to die. I think that he just has no sympathy or understanding of people in different circumstances from himself.
Yeah. I mean, I would go so far as to say that he does want people to die if they can't, be useful to him. He doesn't want people around that cost him money that
Right.
aren't useful to him making money.
Right, but he thinks that just by what they need is some motivation, right? They need to get off the government teat so that they can go work hard and, accomplish things for themselves.
Yeah, no, I'd still go the extra step and say he probably wants them to die because that sort of hard realism, they need motivation, that does go hand in hand with the assumption that, not everyone's going to have that motivation. Some people are going to die. That is just an okay part of the system, according to the ultra rich.
In the extreme, we feel that way too, right? It's if somebody just refuses to eat and
If
they
someone
just
refuses
lash
to eat,
and
I
they
guess
lash
it's
out
okay that they die.
violently
I'm
at
not-
anyone who tries to feed them.
Yeah, in the extreme case, I'm not trying to save the lives of breatharians.
Right.
There's no saving breatharians.
Right. It's like with your kids, you create consequences for their misbehavior in order so that they can learn and have incentives and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, Phil,
Anyway.
bring us home. Strong conclusion.
Okay, so how do we fight back against this? Well, it's just an everything fight. It's just all of it, and you pick the part of this equation that you feel most strongly about there, and you go fight the power. There's lots of work to do. Fighting against pronatalism means fighting those battles for contraceptive access and abortion access, because, that's a human rights fight, and the pronatalists want to take that away from you. So, we should all have the ability to choose what kind of family that we have. Elon Musk shouldn't be making that decision. That's a good avenue for activism. Another good avenue for activism, workers' rights. That's something that the billionaires hate and you should love. We should be able to share the wealth we create, and we make more of it than ever. We should be seeing more than ever. Tax wealth, not work. That's something we could do.
Oh, yeah. Oof.
Something else
those
you could do
words.
is you could like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe to InfoHazard.
Yeah, comment.
Actually, you know what? Do that. We'll do the fighting for you. Then
Exactly.
you don't have to do anything. That's the lazy option.
We're belligerent, goddammit. We
Yeah.
need fuel.
Only on
I'm
our
just-
viewers' behalf. We're naturally lovers, not fighters.
I'm just kidding. Everyone else go out, do the fight. We're busy doing podcasts. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, that's it for this episode of InfoHazard. Aren't you proud of me, guys? I got through the whole thing without advocating for,
Good job, Phil.
It's been another non-violent episode of InfoHazard. Smash that like and subscribe.
Gently
Alight your fingers upon the keys and like and subscribe if you deign to do so. And we'll be back with you tomorrow for Hazardous Info. It's the name of our song. Yeah.
Terrible.